Probably should put on my seatbelt, especially since I'm talking about law enforcement and criminal justice. Your traffic laws are your key to a lot of arrests. Begin with traffic law. That's the way you get into that vehicle. If you're trying to get into it. No, they won't tell that, but if you're trying to get in that vehicle, you commit a traffic violation, they got a reason to stop you. That's called probable cause. Y'all can look that up. I headed to track practice, but we're also continuing our lesson on criminal justice. And these are stories from my life, things I've experienced in the criminal justice field. And when I say criminal justice, I mean from the DA's office. I did a couple months as an intern there. Also juvenile detention, the prison system, state prison system, then your local police departments. I worked for a college campus police, also community college campus police, law enforcement, your different police agencies, sheriff departments, sheriff agencies. I've worked for 2 different agencies in my career. And I also include, as I said before, I include private security in that. So we left off the other day. I was speaking with Crean as she was going to her mentoring, and we were talking about our cousin who was on death row and how his case was overturned or commuted to life imprisonment by Governor Bush, who eventually served 2 terms as the United States president. So we're going to pick up today. I said this all happened after I had left TDCJ, which is the state prison system. All this went down. So I left the prison system in Huntsville. And of course, there are prison units all over the state of Texas. But I was employed there in Huntsville, right outside of New Waverly, where I'm from. But I worked there about 14 months. And while I worked at the prison system, for about 14 months, about 3 months of that, I was still working part-time juvenile detention. So I had 2 jobs. I was putting in about 20 to 24 hours a week at the juvenile detention at Montgomery County Juvenile Detention. So, and I was a young man, 21, 22 years old, so that's pretty good money, you know. And when I moved back to New Waverly for that 2 or 3 years, you know, because I left college in '92, hadn't graduated, you know, figured out college wasn't, at that time, it just wasn't for me. I don't think I had the maturity at the time to be away from home, be away from my parents. I just didn't have it at the time. Not that I was doing anything that I shouldn't do. I mean, there's other people that were doing things that they shouldn't do, but it allowed them to become responsible adults, you know, make adult decisions. Of course, they were getting in adult situations, but me, I was too afraid to go and try those different things. You know, suffer from the fear of failure, the fear of getting into something that I shouldn't get into, so I didn't try to get into anything. Just, you know, go to class, go to my dorm, go to class, go to the apartment, or what have you. So college life just did not fit me. It probably would have benefited me more had I went to a school, you know, Sam Houston State. You know, it's right there at home. And that just for me, that don't mean that fits everybody. So I ended up moving back home. I told y'all that, and worked for TDCJ for a while. Then I decided I want to move back to Austin and finish my degree. But I also wanted to get a job. So I got a job working for, at first I got a job working for the Austin State School. And that's where they had patients with mental issues, some developmental problems, and the pay was very low. So I was doing that, and guess what? My side job was, guess?
Security.
Yes, and private security. So I did those things, and I eventually left the state school that I worked for. I was only there a couple months, but that just definitely wasn't me. Some of the things that we had to do there, and like basically take care of patients and all of their care, put it that way. And as a 21, 22-year-old young man, that wasn't me. But I eventually found another job at a private prison in Taylor, Texas, Corrections Corporation of America, Teton Huddle. So I was hired there, and the pay was very low. Very low. I think it was about $1,200 a month. Yes, that wasn't enough, because the rents in Austin were very high. They're high now. And that's why we own, and we try to own rentals and have people rent them. And so guess what? I had to have what? What have we been talking about? What did I have to have? Although I was working there. Hello? And so I had to have what?
Second job.
Yes. And guess what my second job was doing?
Security.
Yes, security. So I had a part-time job working security, and I had the job at the private prison. Guess what you had to have at the private prison? I'll tell you. You also had to have a private security license to work at the private prison. The state of Texas required it. So I was like dual certified, if you will. I had my private security license from the security company I was working for, and I had to get one because I was working at Teton Huddle, that private prison. And I also had to, I don't remember, but I think I had to get a jailer's license also at the time. We were going to eventually get it. And since that pay was so low, and I'm always thinking about my finances and working two jobs that I was good, but you always want to make your money putting in as least amount of hours as possible, right? That's why people like attorneys have billable hours. They do some work for you, and there's a good attorney, and he or she is a high-powered attorney. They might charge you $200 an hour. Private security don't pay you that hour.